For maximum picture quality, it may be necessary to adjust the tracking control on your VCR.
The Canadian prairies, he would never imagine what the future had in store for him. He went from being a star at a local university basketball team to being the Queen's representative in Canada. As the 24th Governor General of Canada, Raymond John Hnatyshyn carved a place for himself in Canadian history. Raymond John Hnatyshyn was born March 16, 1934 in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan to John and Helen Hnatyshyn. His story is also the legacy of the Hnatyshyn family, of how they came to Canada, of how they succeeded. His father was actually born in Ukraine in the village of Vashkivtsi, outside of Chernivtsi, in the province of Bukovina.
Брат Кость був і брат Михайло. Їхали звідси, тут цей маєток був, і там була хатка старенька. А вони поїхали, то мій тато зичили грошей і давали їм, щоб вони мали з чим поїхати. Дуже бідно жилося. Хата була під солому, цієї будови не було тут. Так що я вам розкажу, як воно було.
What happened was his father and his grandfather came over to homestead in Saskatchewan on a farm just outside Kenora, Saskatchewan. His grandmother had waited until his father had been born, and then at the age of 2 months, he came in the arms of his mother. They made such a tremendous success of it, starting with Ray's grandparents. Within a generation, their son John was a prominent lawyer in Saskatchewan, and then a senator. Ray's mother Helen was born in Canada, also of recent immigrants from Ukraine. John Hnatyshyn, Ray's father, worked long and hard. He started practicing law during the Depression and raised a family during that period.
Well, our family was relatively small for the times. We had a total of 4 children in my parents had 4 children, Ray, of whom was the oldest, and followed by my brother Victor, and then myself, and then my sister Elizabeth. So there was a span of, I think, 13 or 14 years between the oldest and youngest.
As the children were growing up in the Hnatyshyn family, Ukrainian culture and traditions were observed. Ray always said throughout his life that he was proud of his Ukrainian heritage. Ray's childhood was happy, typical, a Canadian one. Initially, he went to Victoria Public School. Later on, Ray attended Natana High School. Evenings and weekends were filled with many activities with family and friends. Ray then advanced to the University of Saskatchewan, which turned out to be a pivotal point for his life and future activities.
Ray Hnatyshyn and I met in high school. Both of us played basketball. He played for Natana, I played for Bedford Road Collegiate. He lived on the east side of the river, and I lived on the west side. There was always a great animosity between both sides of Saskatoon in those days.
My path first crossed with the path of Ray Hnatyshyn. I think it was in 1953. He was just starting law school at that time. I was in second-year law school. And I think I first met him through my then-girlfriend, who's since my wife. She lived next door in a student boarding house next door to the Hnatyshyn family. And I've heard about this young Ray Hnatyshyn and a friend of his who would come into the boarding house and play all sorts of pranks on the girls who were living there. When they would get a box from home, Ray and his pals would come in, they'd see a parcel come in, and it usually would be cookies and things from home. They'd come in and share them. But Ray was a pretty well known around the campus. Of course, the university was not that big.
I remember one time that they arranged during the course of a blood drive to bring in a movie starlet. And so they flew a woman from Winnipeg down to the States, and she arrived from the States. Of course, she was met with great fanfare by everyone. She met the mayor, she met the president of the university. And at the end of the blood drive, we had a big dance in the gym. And of course, everybody, being students, had a fair amount to drink, joined themselves. And of course, our starlet had a few drinks, obviously herself, and she went and took off with the drummer of the band that evening. Of course, that whole hoax was exposed, and our law school was in a fair amount of trouble with the president of the university. But I know the 2 senior classes arranged for the whole thing.
Ray's talents were not only limited to sports and academia, but crossed over into music. He became a member of a band known as the Intensely Vigorous College Nine while at the University of Saskatchewan.
I remember when I was living in Aspen Chase. One morning I woke up to this horrible sound, and here were the Intensely Vigorous Nine playing to wake up the mayor. They're playing to wake up the mayor who lived next door to me. And my gosh, they woke up the whole neighborhood. But they were a fun group.
While at the university, Ray's life changed when he met the beautiful Karen Gerda Nygaard Andreasen, known to all as Gerda. Ray fell in love.
I met Ray at a masquerade ball when I was in my second year of university. I was staying in a girls' residence, women's residence, and Ray had some friends who were staying in the men's residence down the street, and we decided, all of us, to go on a bus down to a dance hall in downtown Saskatoon, and that's the first time I met Ray. He was good looking, but he was an awful lot of fun. I could see right away he was intelligent, wonderful sense of humor. He teased me, and he continued to do that for the rest of our marriage. He always had something wonderful to say, and he was kind. He was very kind.
Obviously, he'd fallen in love with his wife while they were at university, and we all knew that they would get married because they were a perfect match. And at the same time, she was a wonderful woman, and everybody expected them to get married, and of course they did.
Fed up with your long-distance bills? No matter where you call, no matter when you call, and no matter what rate you pay, that's right, no matter what, ComWave will beat it. ComWave will guarantee you the lowest rates to call anywhere in the world forever. With ComWave, you can call from your home, your office, even your cell. Call now and receive $25 of free long distance worldwide. Remember, no matter what.
Hello? ComWave.
It's Caravan Month at Brampton Chrysler. Drive free for 3. Caravan National Promotion is on now. 3 months free payment, 3 months free gas, 3 months free scheduled maintenance. Plus this month, Dodge Caravan lease from $199 a month. All new Jeep Patriot starting from $16,995. Caliber lease from $199 a month. See dealer for details. Caravan National Promotion at Brampton Chrysler. Drive free for 3. Brampton Chrysler. Come see what all the excitement is all about.
Looking for professional advice? Need help from an expert? Don't know where to turn? OMNI's Talk to the Pros has all the answers. Visit us online at omnitv.ca for free, local expert advice on everything from personal injury, how to best plan your travels, and learn more about windows and doors. OMNI's Talk to the Pros is the place on the web for tips, tricks, and free professional advice. Bookmark us today.
Concord Furniture is celebrating its 50th anniversary. Buy now and you don't pay the taxes. No GST, no PST, or take 2 full years to pay. That's 50 years of serving Southern Ontario with the best selection, price, and service on all bedrooms, dining rooms, living rooms, mattresses, and more. Only at Concord Furniture, 280 Rutherford Road South in Brampton. Truly your source for home furnishings.
Davis was a dump.
The pain will never go away.
OMNI Television's signature series showcases new Canadian filmmakers.
It wasn't cool to be East Indian.
If a gay man dies, big deal. There's just one less Batman in the world. very well. I think you did excellent.
What means 1 year of Canadian experience?
I worked as a dishwasher. I worked as a cab driver.
Signature Series, defining our space and time.
They were evaluating my accent.
Saturdays on OMNI Television. Ray became involved in politics while in university. It was only natural, as the dinner table conversation at the Hnatyshyn household was always about politics or law. The Hnatyshyn children grew up in that atmosphere, where the mother was very involved and the father was very involved. Often, guests to the dinner table included the likes of John Diefenbaker.
Ray was, well, they were close to Mr. Diefenbaker. Mr. Hnatyshyn Sr. had run as a candidate for the Conservatives in Saskatchewan 2 or 3 times unsuccessfully, and he and Diefenbaker had campaigned together, and Ray sort of naturally fell into politics.
I think Diefenbaker was very important to all of us, but Ray and myself and a few others in particular. I was at the 1956 Leadership Convention as vice chairman of the Youth for Diefenbaker. I was only 16 in Ottawa in December of 1956. With Ted Rogers. Ted Rogers was chairman of the Youth for Diefenbaker. And Ray Hnatyshyn from Saskatchewan, and his father, of course, was a great supporter of Diefenbaker's, as was Ray, was inspired by Diefenbaker, coming from Saskatchewan as he did, and being so successful in Canadian politics and fighting for the same kinds of things that Ray and I eventually got in to fight for ourselves. Those who were not there will not remember how inspirational Diefenbaker was.
1957 was a long time ago, and so people, I think, now may have trouble understanding just how powerful the message of Mr. Diefenbaker was at that time. Particularly to young people in Western Canada, because he talked about a vision of a new and greater Canada, and we instinctively, those of us who lived in the West, thought it was our vision. He was our person. He came from our part of the country, and he was obviously succeeding on a national scale.
In 1957, Ray was admitted to law and worked at the family law firm. Shortly thereafter, in 1958, he was offered a position as the executive assistant and private secretary to the Senate House Leader, Senator Walter Asseltine, and moved to Ottawa. The following year, his father was appointed to the Senate. At the time of the appointment, John Hnatyshyn carried on a part-time practice until the time of his death in 1967. In January of 1960, Ray and Gerda married. A few months later, they moved back to Saskatoon, and Ray took over the family law firm. For the next 14 years, Ray practiced law and settled comfortably into a family life, thinking public service was a thing of the past, until he received a call from Mr. Stanfield's office asking him to run in the 1974 federal election.
Mr. Stanfield had called to ask if he would seek the nomination. The fire chief was supposed to be to get the nomination, but he became ill, and Ray said to Mr. Stanfield, I don't think I really want to go into politics because we have 2 young boys. One was 4 months old at the time, and John was 4, our older son was 4. And Mr. Stanfield said to him, well, you have to, we have no one else. So that's how he got into politics in 1974. And I, of course, supported him and went out door knocking with him every single day, and took our 4-year-old son with me in the afternoons, and we worked hard.
Ray was elected to the House of Commons as a member of the opposition. During the government led by Joe Clark in 1979, Ray was appointed Minister of Energy and Minister of Science and Technology.
I think Ray sometimes wondered himself why I'd appointed a Minister of Energy and to Science and Technology. And I think, truth be told, the portfolio he would have wanted was a portfolio he later occupied as Minister of Justice. But I needed a Western Canadian who was a moderate and who was not from my province of Alberta to be the Minister of Energy. Energy was the critical issue that was facing the country, the world, and my government at that time. And I wanted someone whom Western Canadians would not distrust, would think that they were going to be dealt with fairly on the question of resources, and but who would be seen by other Canadians as being fair as well, and both in terms of geography and disposition. Ray was the ideal person for that position. As to science and technology, it was a new field. It wasn't a conventional field. We're accustomed now to governments focusing a lot upon those issues, that they dominate our lives now. They didn't in 1978, 1979. And I needed a minister in that portfolio who was going to be able to do some pioneering, had both the imagination and, frankly, the personality to be able to move those issues forward.
Well, Ray Hnatyshyn and I met in 1979, June of 1979. I was a new boy in the House. The Petro-Canada issue was quite a hot issue, and he was managing that file. But because I had some knowledge of the file itself and what we were proposing to do, which was privatize Petro-Canada, he and I worked quite closely together at that time. As you can see, I'm sitting in a rather unusual chair. This is the chair that I sat in the House of Commons as the seatmate of Ray Hnatyshyn. We had a lot of fun in the House together. We would talk during question period, during other times that we were in the House. And he loved to have a little bit of chit-chat and heckling with the people on the other side of the House. He was a very good master of repartee in the House, but he never did it in a nasty way. He never did it in any way but of having a little fun, having a little bit of humor into sometimes very serious and stressful moments in the House.
In 1984, Brian Mulroney won the leadership of the Conservative Party. That same year, the Progressive Conservative won the federal elections and formed a powerful majority government. Ray Hnatyshyn was appointed first as the government House leader and later on as Minister of Justice.
So one of the first calls that I made after I won the leadership was to Ray Hnatyshyn, to tell him that how much I admired what he had done and that I wanted him to play a very prominent role in the party and in the next government. And he did.
Ray Hnatyshyn made friends with a lot of people, and it was because of his tolerance, his sense of reconciliation, and just his outgoing charm. And I think that this is one of the reasons why he was a very successful politician, why people loved him everywhere he went, and why he was so popular in our caucus.
He was unique in the sense that while he was a fierce partisan and very loyal to Brian Mulroney and the Conservative government, he was also had a lot of friends on the other side of the House. And so while he was very aggressive towards me personally, at one point he called me, I believe, the honorable member from Snakesville. After he said it, there was a little smile on his face, and you knew that he really didn't mean it, and it was all part of the theatrics.
There are many reasons to dial 10-10-620 for your long distance. Like no contracts, no monthly charges, no sign-ups, and best of all, low rates.
Talk more.
Pay less.
Call the world for $1. 10-10-620.
Need a guaranteed home repair or renovation? Join Home Service Club. With one call to Home Service Club, you'll have over 500 licensed trade professionals competing for your project. How about a new deck or railings? Maybe a new fence or paint an old one? Thinking of a gazebo or landscaping that goes with it? How about an interlocking stone driveway?
There it is. Now, wasn't that easy? And all work is double guaranteed. Call Home Service Club today at 416-925-1111 for your free brochure.
During the next 4 years, there were many issues that Ray faced. Issues of the Constitution, the Meech Lake Accord, issues of justice, the Hnatyshyn Commission, just to name a few.
Give you, I think, probably his most difficult period ever as a politician was when he was Minister of Justice, and he determined that he was going to launch proceedings against those people who had come to Canada who were possible violators during the war period in the Second World War.
When Raymond Hnatyshyn was the Minister of Justice, as a result of the Hnatyshyn Commission findings, there were 3 options that were selected to deal with war criminals in Canada. The first one was to use the criminal justice system to prosecute in Canada. The second was denaturalization and deportation, and the third was extradition. Raymond Hnatyshyn recommended what became known as the Made in Canada solution, which was the option number 1, which was to prosecute in the criminal courts in Canada.
Ray's view was that it simply demanded, as a question of human rights, as a question of justice, that people who had committed atrocities or war crimes or other matters which would either revoke their citizenship or bring them to justice should be done so.
From 1974 to 1988, Ray served in the House of Commons, commuting weekly to be with his family and maintaining contact with the constituents of his riding in Saskatoon. It was Sunday night plane to Ottawa and Friday afternoon back to Saskatoon. And it was not a question of going back and spending time with the family. There were huge demands on Ray to attend a number of things.
You know, when I look back at living in Saskatoon without Ray for those 14 years with 2 little boys, Carl, I guess it was when Ray left for Ottawa, he was 6 months old and John was 4 years old. I tried to do my best, and my father had suffered a massive stroke that same year after Ray was in politics, so I had that to contend with. But I tried to get the boys involved in all kinds of extracurricular activities so they wouldn't be around a mother and a grandmother all the time, that they did all kinds of things. And we tried to make the best of the holidays, school holidays, summer holidays. We always took the boys traveling, and Ray came home every Friday evening, and he left every Sunday afternoon. So it wasn't certainly a normal family life. But something that people don't know about Ray is that my father was sick and he was paralyzed and couldn't speak. And Ray went out every Saturday afternoon to pick my father up, bring him home for lunch, did the same thing on Sunday. And in those 10 years, he never complained once.
Dad tried his hardest to get back every weekend, and it was tough when he was a minister in the Clark governments and the Mulroney governments to make it back every weekend. But you know, I'd be off, for example, playing ball after school, and one day, you know, I just noticed like a voice out there saying, "Go at it, John. You know, good luck. Try not to drop any balls." And there he was. Of course, he had made it a special effort to get back and involve himself in our lives, even though he was very, very busy in Ottawa. But part of that was the fact that he was a very good family man, but also he believed that the role of an MP was not just in Ottawa, but it was also back in the community. And he made a significant effort to come back to Saskatoon every week as an opposition MP, and as frequently as he possibly could when he was a minister. So he was around to provide guidance and be a really good father, even though he was gone 4 or 5 days of the week.
What's this? Who is that handsome devil? Very clever. Puss! Sorry, boss.
Come to the Dodge Caravan National Sales Event and drive free for 3. Get 3 months free payments, 3 months free gas, and 3 months free maintenance. Our best deals of the year, on now.
It's time to plan the company party. You.
Need to plan an office party? Think Rinks, where everyone plays. Rinks has exciting activities for team building and delicious catering to suit any occasion, all under one roof. We cater to corporate events, big or small.
Great idea, boss.
I know. I'm glad I thought of Rinks.
Break the boring office party jinx. Think Rinks.
It's not just a mattress, it's Ideal Mattress. Take advantage of our grand opening celebration and save up to 55%. Let us comfort your dreams. Ideal Mattress, now in Mississauga and Toronto.
Here we grow again. Lastman's Bad Boys Superstore #1 is now open in London, and we're celebrating chain-wide. Grand opening super deals on all furniture, appliances, electronics, and bedding. More savings than ever. Plus, pay no money for 1 full year. Plus, Bad Boys Express Delivery. Plus, you can win a Mercedes-Benz B-Class for 1 full year. Chain-wide grand opening savings now on. Don't miss it.
Who's better than Lastman's Bad Boy? Nobody!
Well, I love what you did last time. Let's do it again.
I want to go blonde.
At First Choice Haircutters, we guarantee satisfaction. First Choice Haircutters in over 400 locations where hair meets care.
In the 1988 federal election, Hnatyshyn lost his seat in Saskatoon. Some politicians believe that his loss had nothing to do with him, but was an act of an anti-free trade vote. Was it really because of the free trade agreement, or was it because of his political policies?
Like his family, his close friends, of which I was one, had gone through a difficult time with him after the 1988 election when he lost his seat. I knew that he knew that politics was a rough and tumble game, but I don't think he ever thought that he would lose the support of his friends and neighbors in Saskatoon. And that's the rough side of politics. It's not always personal. Sometimes it's just politics. But he lost his seat, and I think he had some difficulties with that in the years immediately following. And he was sort of, in a way, Gerda kept him so online and focused, but in other ways he was kind of rudderless.
After Ray lost the election on the 21st of November 1988, he went to the hospital to have a hip replaced, which he had put on hold for a while during the election campaign. And after that, after a short period of convalescence, he went to find work and had offers in different spots in Canada, but had decided on Ottawa. He'd lived here since 1974, and he knew some of the members of the law firm at Gowling, Strathy and Henderson, as it was then called. And the family moved then. We decided to uproot, and we moved here in September of 1989.
He wasn't sure what he wanted to do. He was still a young man. He wasn't sure what he wanted to do with his life. And I think, we'd had the conversation a number of times. What if Mulroney asked you to be Governor General? And he didn't want to go there. He didn't want to talk about it. He didn't want to jinx himself, which, told me that, sure, he'd love to do it.
First, he was an outstanding individual personally. I knew him well. He had served as Minister of Justice and as Government House Leader. He didn't have an enemy in the world, in spite of the fact that he had spent 14 years in the House of Commons. Everybody liked him. He had these wonderful qualities, including a great sense of humor. He was close to the people, and he was of Ukrainian background from Western Canada, and that was a great community in our country that had never been represented at that level. And I thought the combination of all of these things would make him a superb Governor General, which indeed he was.
On October 1st, 1989, Ray got a call from the Prime Minister's office saying the Prime Minister, Brian Mulroney, wanted to meet with him.
Well, what happened was that I invited him to Harrington Lake, which is the Prime Minister's summer residence. I gave him the news that I planned to bring this to the attention of Cabinet, of course, and then to advise Her Majesty. And as we were leaving, of course, he was totally stunned by this. It was completely unexpected. And as we were leaving, I said, now, Ray, you can't tell this, you can't share this information with anybody, because I'm going to have to convey this to Her Majesty first. And he said, well, can I tell Gerda? And I said, yes, but only Gerda, nobody else. He said, fine. And I walked him out, he got into his car, and he backed up on his way downtown. Stopped the car, and the car pulls back up. He puts down the window. And he said to me, Prime Minister, can I ask you for another favor on this very special day? I said, sure, Ray. What is it? He said, if anything happens to me on my way down to Ottawa, will you leak this one to the media? Which is another reason why he should have been chosen. He had such a delightful sense of humor at all times.
They both said that their fathers would have been surprised that both of them, one, that Ray was being offered the position as Governor General, and Mr. Mulrooney's father would have been surprised that he was the one, in fact, that was doing the offering.
This summer, we're heating up your look with all new frames from Akeem Optical. We've got the hottest new 2007 top designer frames for you to choose from. And now for a limited time, get 2 pairs of Akeem designer eyeglasses for only $199, including single vision, regular bifocal, or upgrade to invisible bifocals for only $90. Look hot this summer with an all-new look from Akeem Optical. For more selections, more frames, more savings.
Your eyes can have it all at Hakeem Optical.
Too many bills? Phone calls from creditors? Need a fresh start? Kevin Thatcher and Associates Limited can help. We offer proposals to make a deal with your creditors, debt counseling, and bankruptcy. We will help you protect your family, your car, and your home. With over 10 years of bankruptcy experience, our friendly staff can help you through this difficult time. Call us for a free consultation. We're open evenings and offer flexible payments.
Even though most people like to come to see me, Russell Oliver, in person and only come to me, I don't suggest that. I really suggest that people stop in either at their local jeweler or at one of my competitors or some other place. Try and find out some value of your jewelry so that you have an idea. When you come to me to sell your jewelry, I like the knowledgeable consumer. I like the guy who knows his jewelry and knows what he wants. I'm a professional and I know exactly what it is, but I prefer to make you feel comfortable that you should know what it is. So we...
Fed up with your long-distance bills? No matter where you call, no matter when you call, and no matter what rate you pay, that's right, no matter what, Comwave will beat it. Comwave will guarantee you the lowest rates to call anywhere in the world forever. With Comwave, you can call from your home, your office, even your cell. Call now and receive $25 of free long distance worldwide. Remember, no matter what.
Hello? Comwave, Comwave.
On October 6, 1989, Prime Minister Brian Mulroney announced to all Canadians that Raymond John Hnatyshyn would be installed as the 24th Governor-General of Canada.
Mr. Hnatyshyn is known to all Canadians as a man of great warmth, civility, and personal integrity.
I have faith in the future of this country, and I trust its people. The office of Governor General is a living symbol of our nation, and during the next 5 years, like my distinguished predecessors, I will do my best to foster a spirit of unity and understanding amongst all Canadians.
It was a very important symbolic appointment. They are never just about the individual by their nature. They are about the institution and its vitality in a Canadian context, but also about the personal qualities that the named person brings. At the installation, Ray spoke in English, French, and Ukrainian. He was criticized for his poor French.
Я за то можу бути лише вдячним тому, що серед тих всіх родин, які приїхали до Канади, яке Канада привітала, була Михайло і Анна Hnatyshyn.
So I remember the swearing in, and you could see that he was going to be changed because he's Governor General. There he was. We had this great big seat, I recall, the Speaker's Gallery in the Senate. He looked right down directly, and he was seated with Gerda on the floor, speaking in French.
As we were involved with the inauguration, we attended that and the parties and the ball at Rideau Hall. There was one funny thing about that, Ray was always, he always had such a sense of humor, and in preparation for this dinner and ball at Rideau Hall, of course, many invitations had been sent out, and he somehow managed to intercept an invitation that was being sent to an old friend of his in Saskatoon, a guy he'd worked with in politics, and Ray took his pen and wrote on the bottom, BYOB, meaning bring your own bottle. And sure enough, this guy arrived at Rideau Hall in a taxi with a brown paper bag and with a bottle of baby duck wine, and he said to the doorman, would you please give this to His Excellency?
Well, I was delighted that he became Governor General. He is, I thought he was a perfect man for the job. He loved people, he loved reaching out to people. He had a very good understanding of the country.
What a terrific and wonderful reception this is, and reception and celebration of our great country with people here who come from every generation, every walk of life in every part of this country. People who are starting their lives and have their future before them. People who have contributed so much to our country. People with whom I have admired in all fields of accomplishment.
One of the things that I think he brought to the job was that a sense of informality that allowed people to relate to him and feel that he was someone they could talk to very easily. And I think if you go back and talk to people who met him during that time, I think a lot of them would say he was an easy person to talk to. He was an easy person to relate to. He understood me.
The Governor General is Her Majesty's representative in Canada, her delegate. All important and significant constitutional, ceremonial, and symbolic duties that are important in the life of a nation are performed by the Governor General. The duties of Mr. Hnatyshyn as Governor General were to carry out the responsibilities as the Queen's representative, to act as Commander-in-Chief of the Canadian Forces, to honor excellence and achievement in a variety of fields, to promote national identity and unity, and to reinforce Canadian values.
Now, if you recall, during the time that Ray was the Governor General, we had all those discussions underway on Meech Lake, on the Charlottetown Accord. There was a lot of debate as to when the next referendum would be. So these were issues that Ray was very much involved in, very much engaged in a quiet way as the Governor General, watching how things developed in the country. Because he was a very good lawyer, because he had been the Attorney General of the country, the Minister of Justice for the country, this was something where he added some real substance to the position in a way that probably many people didn't even realize was happening.
I remember this picture of him in a top hat. This was a wonderful picture because not only did he look so elegant in it, but it was, to me, a picture which was slyly saying, well, I'm in this top hat and I'm in all of these fancy trappings and I want to do the best that I can, but I'm really one of you.
He loved the pomp and pageantry of being Governor General. Not all of those who were in that position enjoyed that part of it. He loved it. He loved getting dressed up in uniforms. He loved telling me about, as somebody who had a military background himself.
While I was the honorary Lieutenant Colonel of the Governor General's Horse Guards, he came and presented a new standard to the regiment, the standard being the regimental colors and the corps of any regiment. He was very keen about the Navy, Army, and Air Force. He participated wherever possible with them. He was very anxious to visit them at their various locations, both in Canada and when they were abroad, and gave huge moral support to them, and also from time to time would consult with both the Prime Minister and the Minister of Defense on defense issues. And indeed, of all the regiments, battalions, ships, squadrons of air people and so on across Canada, he spent as much time as he could visiting with them and always welcomed their participation in events where he was present.
Rideau Hall has always been one of Ottawa's most interesting landmarks. During Ray Hnatyshyn's term of office, the official residence began to be known as a tourist destination, with many Canadians enjoying tours of the public rooms and grounds. In 1991, Mr. Hnatyshyn created the Governor General Summer Concert Series, which became a popular annual music festival. In the winter of 1992, he reopened the historic skating rink, which had been closed since the 1989-90 season. The rink is used by members of the public on weekends and by educational institutions and associations throughout the week.
The gates at Rita Hall had been closed before we arrived, and the neighbors had been upset because they couldn't walk through the grounds any longer, and I think it was done for security reasons. But anyway, after we moved in, I think one of the first things that we did was to invite all the neighbors within 2 blocks around Rita Hall, all around the grounds, to come over for coffee one Saturday morning. And so we would know who they were, and they would know who we were, and that was the beginning. And after that, Ray arranged to have the gates opened, and the grounds were open again.
Rita Hall has welcomed monarchs and dignitaries, diplomats and politicians. But most of all, this treasured and historic site belongs to all Canadians.
Then Ray, he loved music, and he had, I can't remember if it was in our first year or not, but we had concerts every Sunday. And so then people could come with their lawn chairs and listen to music every Sunday afternoon.
And both Ray and Gerda, and I think a lot of the credit goes to Gerda, pushed to open it up, make it much more available to the people of Canada. So that was of a concern to him, and it was an important gesture to make at that time. But so we're continuing on those 3 pillars of what he always stood for: compassion and tolerance and justice, and he spoke out on all of them.
As Canada's de facto head of state, Mr. Hnatyshyn and his wife received leaders and dignitaries from around the world. Mr. and Mrs. Hnatyshyn also welcomed many members of the royal family, including their Royal Highnesses, the Prince and Princess of Wales in 1991. As Governor General, Ray was greatly involved in promoting national identity and unity. Within 1 year, both he and Gerda visited each province and territory at least 2 times, logging over 125,000 kilometers across Canada. They attended over 600 events. Ray gave over 425 speeches, not including those involved with foreign travel and out-of-country state visits. The Hnatyshyn's represented Canada at the 50th anniversary celebrations of D-Day in France in 1994, and went on several state visits, including one to the Ukraine, which was particularly special because Mr. Hnatyshyn was of Ukrainian descent.
We visited Ukraine in 1992.
Furthermore, Bukovina is twinned with my own native province of Saskatchewan, just as the city of Hnatyshyn is twinned with my hometown of Saskatoon, and just as the universities in those 2 cities are twinned with each other.
An aunt or a cousin that we met in the family village where the family grew up, and Ray received an honorary doctorate at the university at Hnatyshyn. And now, in the last few years after Ray's passed away, the university set up, in cooperation with the University of Saskatchewan, a Department of International Studies that has been named after Ray.
Hey, don't use the water! I'm in the shower!
Avoid situations like this. Call Niagara Water Service and have your water flow problem fixed immediately. It's a great investment, and everything is guaranteed for 5 years. Niagara Water Service makes the water flow up to the 3rd floor, even when 4 showers are in use at the same time. Niagara Water Service, 277 Bering Avenue. Call 416-239-6000.
Looking for professional advice? Need help from an expert? Don't know where to turn? OMNI's Talk to the Pros has all the answers. Visit us online at omnitv.ca for free, local expert advice on everything from acupuncture and pain management, all you need to know about automotive financing, and advice on personal bankruptcy. OMNI's Talk to the Pros is the place on the web for tips, tricks, and free professional advice. Bookmark us today.
If you want a career in law enforcement, the Canadian Law Enforcement Training College wants you.
There's a dress code here. They teach you discipline. The teachers here are from the police force, and you get the experience that they have.
You can complete your diploma program in just 10 months. Take the Police Foundations training course with the only specialized college in Ontario exclusively dedicated to police studies. Call 1-866-5-POLICE.
I hear it everywhere. Today's kids aren't active enough. And it finally hit me that the good life I want for my kids should also be about their health. So now we're really trying to make physical activity a part of our regular routine. Maybe we can't change overnight, but little by little, a swim here, a game of catch there, we're doing it, and we're spending more time together. Bye, guys.
You are the most important role model your kids will ever have. Teach them healthy habits to last a lifetime.
The Hnatyshyn's encouragement of the arts in Canada was one of important accomplishments of their term. They established the Governor General's Performing Arts Award in 1992, along with the Raymond John Hnatyshyn Award for Volunteerism in the Arts in the same year. Hnatyshyn was criticized by the Canadian monarchists who believed he did not do enough as the Queen's representative during his term. Ray slipped quietly into private life in Ottawa. He enjoyed practicing international law at the firm of Gowling, Strathay and Henderson, dealing with legal reform in transitional economies. His passion and commitments for the arts continued.
If I was asked what Ray's legacy would be, certainly the obvious one would be his legacy in the arts. The Governor General's Performing Arts Award was his idea, and it was established in 1992 to celebrate Canada's 125th anniversary, and it's still one of the most, I think, one of the most important events in Canada in that people receive recognition for lifetime achievement in the arts.
Ray and Gerda continued to be involved in their foundations which support Canadian excellence and achievements in the arts. Ray worked on his private foundation, which stemmed from the Governor General Performing Arts Award. In the middle of August 2002, Ray became ill.
And he had put everything in place, all the legal work, had written the mission statement, prepared the brochure, started to appoint a board, and then he got sick. And he said when he was ill, if I don't survive, I have one regret, that I never did finish the foundation. I said, well, I'll do my best. And then after that, he was sent to New York for a second opinion, and he died on the 18th of December.
Canadians everywhere and politicians of all party stripes are mourning the death of former Governor General Ray Hnatyshyn. The longtime Conservative politician from Saskatchewan served as Governor General from 1990 to 1995. He had been fighting cancer for several months and died Wednesday at an Ottawa hospital.
He died of complications from pancreatitis. So he didn't die of cancer as most people think he did.
єсть царство і сила, і слава Отця і Сина, і Святого Духа, нині і повсякчас.
Ocean's Fresh Food Market. Now on sale, white bread, 99 cents. 2% milk, $2.99. Sugar, $1.29. Chicken leg quarters, 79 cents a pound. Headless shrimp, $2.99 a pound. Altofo mangoes, $7.99 a box. Ocean's Fresh Food Market, 150 West Drive, Brampton, south of Queen Street, east of Highway 410.
If you are troubled by symptoms of acne, rosacea, eczema, psoriasis, you know it is not just your skin that can be affected. Face Doctor Rejuvenating Soap and Creams contain sea buckthorn oil. Visit facedoctor.ca.
DeRose Barristers and Solicitors are the experts in assisting clients involved in car accidents and personal injuries.
We offer you expert advice, personal service, and peace of mind.
Call DeRose Barristers and Solicitors today for a free consultation.
Has this ever happened to you?
When I lost my hair, I stopped socializing. I had poor self-image and confidence.
I was desperate. I was losing my hair. I didn't know what to do.
Hi, I'm Nella. For many years, we have helped thousands of men and women gain back their confidence and their looks by using our D'Olivera hair care products.
My hair was very thin, but now I have full manageable hair.
My hair is coming back, healthy and stronger.
Call today for your free consultation.
Concord Furniture is celebrating its 50th anniversary. Buy now and you don't pay the taxes. No GST, no PST, or take 2 full years to pay. That's 50 years of serving Southern Ontario with the best selection, price, and service on all bedrooms, dining rooms, living rooms, mattresses, and more. Only at Concord Furniture, 280 Rutherford Road South in Brampton. Truly your source for home furnishings.
His second legacy I'm trying to finish, it also has to do with the arts. It's the Hnatyshyn Foundation, and something that Ray wanted to leave as a legacy. Most governors general do, and it has to do with providing grants for exceptionally gifted young people in the performing arts.
The legacy has much more to do with the person he was. And Ray Hnatyshyn, the lesson, the legacy of Ray Hnatyshyn was that he was very much a person of the prairies. He had the egalitarian prairie streak. It was a mile wide in him, and so it didn't matter who you were, whether you were a king or just an ordinary Joe citizen. He would have all kinds of time for you.
And Ray really did have a common touch. I remember in days when we occasionally would leave work to play handball over at the YMCA. It'd be normally a 12-minute stroll over to the YMCA, but if you're walking with Ray, it was turned into be a half hour to 3/4 of an hour. So there was hardly a person that you encountered in the street that didn't want to stop and chat, and Ray was always quite accommodating that way. And consequently, the rest of us learned just to go ahead and wait for him to show up later.
I think Ray Hnatyshyn truly was a man for all Canadians. He loved being with people. He loved, as I said earlier, he loved having a good laugh. And that meant having a good laugh with people. I don't recall him ever laughing at people. He would laugh at himself, but he always had a good laugh with people, and people relate to that. He was a very conscientious individual. He had some big jobs during his time in Parliament, and he worked very hard at them. So the conscientiousness, you could always count on him doing the job that he was asked to do, but he also had fun doing it.
There is no question in my mind that Ray Hnatyshyn, even though he was a partisan
at the time. He was truly a man, a politician, a Governor General for all Canadians. Of course, when he was in the House of Commons, he was, the Conservative Party was something that was very near and dear to his heart, and he defended the principles, but in a way that always was for all Canadians.
Ray Hnatyshyn was one of those people who entered public life, not for himself, because he truly believed he could make a difference in arguing for the things that he thought were important. I think always said to those who followed in the Hnatyshyn family that there was something to pay back. And so you see this tradition of public service on successive generations. You know, there are a lot of things we miss because he's not with us now. We miss that ability he had to embrace a situation with warmth, humor if needed, but really with warmth.
It was warm and funny and wise. Was he tough? You don't survive for all of those years at the highest levels of Canadian politics without having steel in your spine. And Ray had that. He was a very principled man.
The way I describe him always is a friend, someone who, you know, was able to make you feel warm, had that ability, but someone who was passionate about his beliefs, truly passionate about them. And, you know, someone who understood the legacy of his family and what it meant to come from one part of the world to a new land with boundless opportunity and take advantage of that opportunity and return to the new land. You know, his ability to make things better. And he taught that not only to his family, as he had been taught by his family, but he taught it to everyone he knew. And so there's a lot of Ray Hnatyshyn that still exists in this country through the lives of those he's touched.
I miss him tremendously. Yeah, it's a big absence in my life and everybody's life and his immediate family. He'll be sorely missed, and it was just unfortunate that he passed on at such a tender age, because he certainly had a lot more to contribute.
I miss his humanity, his generosity, and I miss him as a friend, which is something you don't often think of as a father, as a friend, but he was a very good friend of mine.
And I miss him as a friend. I mean, we were able to talk about everything. He was there for me when I had difficulties, and I was there for him when he did.
What I miss about Ray is simply that he's not here. He was an absolutely delightful man. If he walked in this door today, I can just see him in my mind's eye with that big smile and a great laugh. And he affected everyone in a very positive way by his manner and by who he was and the way he conducted himself. He was, as I say, great on the floor of the House of Commons. He was pleasant and effective around the cabinet table. He was superb as Governor General. He was loyal as a friend. He was valued as a counselor. He was devoted in his Canadian citizenship. He was a hell of a guy.
The legacy of Raymond John Hnatyshyn lives in the hopes and dreams of all Canadians.